thank you so much for joining us for this very special edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jackson Miller, and what's so special? Well, Shaveane Dennis is here to tell us what's so special, Gio.
So we are playing a special report tonight about persons with disabilities and discrimination they face. It's looking at discrimination in terms of employment, the difficulties they have in terms of just getting an interview to be employed, some of them, the difficulties in terms of transportation, difficulties in terms of the infrastructure, the obvious ones like the sidewalks, and also interpersonal life, their social relationships and stuff like that. Those are the difficulties we'll explore in each of the segments, starting with employment. And I think it's something important to share because most of us don't think about this.
Okay, well, take a look. This is Invisible Walls, Stories of Disability Discrimination.
About 2012, at age 24, Shaveane Daly couldn't get a job, despite graduating with an undergraduate degree in psychology and entertainment and cultural enterprise management from the University of the West Indies. He also had experience, having coordinated multiple successful entertainment events at university.
I have experience in both entertainment in terms of coordinating events and all of that. For me, as a blind person, I keep dance and all of them stuff there. Involved in the music like whole heap. So I produce music as well and all of stuff. So when I see that job, I say, cool, yeah, apply for it, right? For whatever it works. So I went there, and this place was on Crossroad there. And I want to call a company, which is on Crossroad. I went down there, and the boss come out and said, what am I doing here? And I'm saying, I'm here for the interview, get a call to come and do the interview because I submitted my information online. So when you look at that now, you say, okay, cool, I get a call, I feel nice now, you know, because I go off for the whole thing when them say education is the key to success. And I say, yeah, like thing I go on to me, I know. Unreach, the man say.
But how you going to do the job, man? I say you qualified, but how you going to do the job?
And you know that on that day I didn't get to do an interview, they turned me back.
It was heartbreaking.
To be honest, I feel defeated in a way.
This not going to work out, because I don't know how you're going to do the work, but this not going to work out. Thanks for coming, though. It's not going to work out.
Alright, respect. I really feel defeated on that day, and I was saying that, yo, this can't be real. Right? They don't say, I said, if I give you the interview and then turn me down, I didn't even get a chance. I didn't feel good living there that day.
Now 37, Shaveane also has a master's in cultural studies from the University of the West Indies Mona campus. He used to play blind cricket for Jamaica. His multiple job rejections are frustrating because he knows he's multi-talented.
In the interviews, they make it their point of duty to question more about how I'm going to see to do the work, and if they employ me, they would have to put this in place, you have to put that in place. And I'm saying, you do that generally for anybody else, but it's because I have a disability. You're overthinking it, you understand? And it's like reasonable accommodation, like what in the Jamaica Disability Act and in the UNCRPD. They don't seem to understand those things.
The UNCRPD Shaveane refers to is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. It's a legally binding international human rights treaty that aims to protect and promote the rights and fundamental freedoms of people with disabilities. These rights include the right to equal opportunities for employment without discrimination on the basis of disability. In Shavaine's case, his blindness. When Shaveane speaks about reasonable accommodation or reasonable arrangements in the language of Jamaica's Disabilities Act, that means, for instance, reasonably modifying the work environment so a blind worker like Shaveane can function. For example, sharing meeting notes in an audio format as well as text, or installing a ramp so a wheelchair user can get into the building. Jamaica was the first country in the world to sign and ratify the treaty in March 2007. It was incorporated into Jamaican law by the Disabilities Act in 2014. And yet, 18 years after the treaty was signed, discrimination against persons with disabilities is rife on the island.
when you enter within a workspace or an organization, the first thing they see is probably, for example, if I should walk, they probably see my limp. And same time, they're like, okay, I notice you have a limp. Can you tell me about that? And right there, off the top of the head, they believe you can't do what others can do.
Janelle Peart McKenzie lives with muscular dystrophy. It's a condition marked by progressive weakening and wasting of the muscles. Her muscles have progressively worsened since primary school. She's used a wheelchair since, but that hasn't stopped her. She's a Prime Minister's Youth Award nominee, holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Animal Biology and Psychology, and owns her own business. But she still struggles to get employed in the formal sector.
To be honest, I've heard it time and time again where I've had other friends or colleagues say to me, the level of effort you put out as a person with a disability, persons that don't have a disability aren't necessarily doing that. So if only given the opportunity to have a foot in, to see how that person would operate, and to realize that, hey, though someone has a disability, everything else is still 100%, or everything is still performed at an optimal level.
Anne-Marie Ellis is part of yet another group, Deaf Jamaicans.
The deaf community needs support. We need more work. Many deaf persons have any work, need more work. Help deaf persons to find work. It no matter if it's even creating jobs or school, we need more work.
Professor Floyd Morris is director of the Center for Disability Studies at the University of the West Indies. An opposition senator and the first blind president of the Senate, he also sits on the United Nations Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
One of the things about the Disabilities Act is that it makes provision for the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities to establish what we call codes of practice. And codes of practice are designed to guide institutions and organizations as to how to treat with a person with a disability in order to prevent discrimination against these individuals. And what we find happening is that the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities has not established these codes of practice within the past 3 years since the law has come into effect. And this is causing the continued problems that persons with disabilities are experiencing.
Jamaica's Disability Act came into effect in 2022, 8 years after it was passed in 2014. It said so that the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities is responsible for promoting the rights and inclusion of persons with disabilities. It's also responsible for establishing the codes of practice for employers. In 2018, the late Shaveane Robinson, then Labour Minister, said the ministry was, quote, working assiduously to ensure the codes are completed as quickly as possible, as implementation of the Disabilities Act is contingent on the corresponding codes of practice. But 7 years after that comment and more than 3 years after the Act came into effect, the codes of practice are still not in effect. When contacted, head of the JCPD, Dr. Christine Hendricks, said the codes of practice have been finalized by the JCPD and are being prepared to be sent for further review by the Attorney General and the Ministry of Labour and Social Security's legal team. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security is the lead ministry on matters relating to persons with disabilities. Colonel Charles Jr. is the portfolio minister.
No, definitely, we're not at the stage yet where we can say we're doing enough. There's a lot more work to be done. But we are, I'd say, moving in the right direction. We're focused. We have a strategy. And so far, the law is doing what it should do, but we need much, much more public awareness, engagement, and definitely to have the inherent inclusion to become normalized. So a lot of work to be done.
Minister Charles Jr. concedes the situation with people like Shaveane and Janelle is unfortunate.
We're still straddled with the stigmas that persons with disabilities have to endure in society. Despite having the accessibility checklist, despite having the I'm Able campaign, despite having significant stakeholder engagement with several private sector companies and international organizations, despite having, I'd say much improved engagement and inclusion, we still have those stigmas, and we still have too many persons who just don't know what to do.
The Disabilities Rights Tribunal has been established under the Disabilities Act to address complaints of discrimination and other breaches of the Act. It provides a formal mechanism for persons with disabilities to seek redress when they feel their rights have been violated.
Well, definitely, I would commend the government on the establishment of the Disability Rights Tribunal because it is a critical tool in dismantling the discrimination that exists within the Jamaican society against persons with disabilities.
But the tribunal, Professor Morris argues, needs to be better promoted.
We need to make sure that we let people understand how they go about accessing the Disability Rights Tribunal. And one, the law makes provision for you to lodge a complaint to the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, for example. And then when you lodge the complaint to the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, it triggers an automatic investigation.
Yes, and the reporting thing is a challenge in terms of persons. Maybe they can't follow the process because they need to go and say it's going to take too long and maybe nothing not going to happen.
A study by the United Nations Development Programme noted that the indicator of employment of persons with disabilities across the world is significantly lower than the rate of employment of individuals without disabilities.
And for me, I know we have this thing where we say the black and the white. The black have to work twice as hard as the white. So in my head, I don't have to work twice as hard. I have to work 4 times as hard because I'm black and I have a disability. 2 times 2 is 4. So I have to work even harder than others.
Do you sometimes feel like giving up? Like, how frustrating is that?
There are times when I feel like giving up, but then I remember that I am Janelle and I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter. You can think what you want to think, but I'm going for everything. So in you doubting my abilities, I'm going to be like, oh, you think I can't? Then watch me.
We have the JCPD that provides economic empowerment grants to persons with disabilities for them to be able to secure their own business as entrepreneurs. That's one thing, so they can have economic independence. We have collaborations with Heart and STA Trust to provide specific vocational training and to promote inclusive employment. Additionally, we as a government are leading from the front. So we ourselves employ persons with disabilities right here at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. And we've been bold within the last year to integrate persons with disabilities even into our overseas employment program, where we have 2 males, 2 females doing exceptionally well in Canada right now. The Abilities Foundation has integrated women with disabilities in their agricultural program, which did also very well. And that's through partnership with one of our international stakeholders. So we are leading from the front. But it still means that we have to have more public awareness and understanding.
According to the Disabilities Act, the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities is to carry out the public education about the Act. But is the government truly leading from the front? Vision 2030 says the government is an employer of persons with disabilities. However, it fails to meet the National Policy on Disabilities recommendation that a minimum of 5% of government jobs should be filled by persons with disabilities. When we tried getting current data in July 2025, the Labour Ministry was unable to say what percentage of government jobs was held by Jamaicans with a disability. The Jamaica Survey of Living Conditions 2014 revealed that only a small percentage of persons with disabilities, 15.3%, were employed at the time of the survey. That's less than 1 in 5 persons with a disability being employed. Further, data also showed that persons with disabilities tended to earn less income monthly and annually in comparison to persons without disabilities.
So for example, they come to you now, Gio, to create a beat, or come to you to edit, probably say audiobook, or to edit an audio documentary, and you give them the cost to say, oh, $250 for this in terms of 250,000, right? And you must say, yeah, cool. Then maybe say, well, that expensive, what they will pay you. When they come to us doing the same quality work, and maybe even do it even bit better, because as I said, blind person have a good hearing and all of those stuff. They want to give us maybe 100 or even less, 100,000 or less, to do the same work that they will give you 250,000 for. So they don't see this. They're okay with getting the work done, but they don't think they need to pay us so much.
Both Janelle and Shaveane believe the government can do more.
Because what you see by best practice overseas, they give incentives to companies like in the States, or I can speak definitely in the States because I know about that. I know persons who are being employed like that in the States. And so you have a company, and say 10% of your workforce or 5% should be persons with disabilities. And if you do this, you are getting this. You understand? You get a tax break or something.
Invite stakeholders and CEOs and all those in managerial positions to an event where they allow persons with disability to be there and to just show their level of ability to these individuals. I think just having that out there would be an eye-opener for persons, because if we can have a blind senator, if we can have others that are currently in university studying for the bachelor's, the master's and PhD, why are we questioning these individuals' ability to function in the work world?